Hi, I'm John Stubbings with Clown Alley Orchids. We're going to talk about how to pot orchids. We're going to use a Cattleya as an example. The others are pretty similar, but this will apply especially to Cattleyas. Why do we pot orchids? Well, because what they're growing in is not giving them the best growth. It might be that it's way under potted where this plant is growing out of the pot. It could be that whatever's in the pot is turned to mush and it's killing the roots. Either way, we will repot. We generally recommend once a year as a minimum. Some people do it every 2 years. Here it's so humid in Houston that we do it once a year. That's assuming we actually get enough time to do it every year. So we're going to take the plant out of the pot. We're going to try just to pull it out because there are roots in the bottom. They're going to be lost anyway. There we go. Now inside was almost straight bark. We grow in a mix that has a lot of other things in it. We have charcoal and we have sponge rock, which is a white big giant perlite, and we have alliflora. And those inorganics, the sponge rock, the alliflora, and the charcoal, do not degrade and turn to mush. So that's why they're in the mix. So now we've removed everything off of the roots that we think will rot. And we're ready to put it into a new pot. Notice we're wearing gloves. You want to use the surgical latex gloves because it protects your hands from the bark, you don't get splinters, and because it protects the plants. When I'm working on these roots or the plants, I could get some oozing from the plant, some liquid, and if this plant has virus, it will now be on the gloves. By throwing those gloves out and putting on a fresh pair, I don't transmit the virus from this plant to the next plant that I pot. So that's why we wear the gloves. So now we have to pick a pot size. We normally do not grow in plastic. This is the way they come to us wholesale. We normally, for Cattleyas, because they tend to want to dry out, grow them in clay. It dries out faster than plastic. This plant almost fits into a 4-inch standard. The back of the plant is at the edge of the pot and the front of the plant is already growing out. So it really needs the next size pot. Next size pot is a 5-inch. This is an azalea, that's the short pot. Really wasn't a lot of roots on here, so a short pot is probably a good idea. We'll set the plant in where the back of the plant is right against the one edge of the pot and the front of the plant is straight across. And then we will add bark for the bark mix. We just shove it in on both sides. We didn't put any in the bottom to begin with. We don't think that's a good idea. Some people would put broken pot pieces called shards in to give it some aeration. We don't do that either, especially in a azalea. We think there's plenty of air to these roots. So we have pushed the mix in pretty hard so that the plant doesn't move, because we don't want the new root tips to break off due to movement when we water or move the plant around. And in terms of height, we want to have the new roots growing into the mix. We don't want to cover this rhizome that connects all of the growths. That'll lead to rot. So if anything, this is up a little high, but that'll be fine. And now we're done. The last thing to do in repotting is make sure you put your name back into it. Doesn't make any difference to the plant whether it has a name, but it makes a difference to you. So we recommend you put your name back into the pot. So that's how we repot Cattleyas.